Hi, third grade families. This is going to be a quick review of the statistics and graphing unit that we've been working on in third grade for you to look at and also share with your kiddo to help them review. So the main focus of this unit is describing the difference between picture graphs and bar graphs and interpreting their data, as well as drawing graphs. So we looked at two different types of graphs, bar graphs on the left and picture graphs on the right, and we thought about the similarities and differences. Bar graphs, we noticed, have bars that help us to read data using a scale or a number line on the left-hand side. And picture graphs use pictures like cars that are equal to a certain amount. So in this picture graph, one car is equal to 150 miles. So if I wanted to know how many miles taxi B drove in the first week, it wouldn't be 2 miles, it would be 150 plus 150 miles. So there's a little bit more complicated addition and multiplication when using a picture graph. The big idea that we covered first was that we read or interpret graphs differently. We need to understand what type of graph we are using, whether that's a picture graph or a bar graph, so we can interpret the information correctly. And then students summarized this in their math journals. We also identified the important parts of a bar graph, and we gathered data to create our own. So I'm going to go over quickly the parts of a bar graph because I know that's shown up on kids' homework recently. So if we look at this first bar graph, the words at the top are the title. So we're going to call this the title of the bar graph, and it should be used to describe the different parts or what the graph is telling us. On the bottom, there's a label that says favorite fruit. That tells us what the categories are. On the side right here, there's also a label that tells us the category, or that tells us the information that will be represented in the scale. On the side, the number line there is called the scale, and it can be labeled by ones or twos, whatever best fits the data set. The categories are what the bars are above, so it'd be oranges, apples, strawberries, cherries, and then the colored portions are considered or called bars, and this is where we actually show the data. So in a complete bar graph, we should have these parts: title, which is at the very top of the graph, categories, which are along the bottom, so that would be fruits, apples, bananas, whatever the pieces of data fall into, the scale, which is the number line on the left-hand side, labels, which are next to the scale and categories, and the bars, which actually show us the data. We also looked at analyzing a bar graph and creating word problems for our classmates. When we analyzed today, we decided that analyze is a fancy word that means to notice the small details. So when we analyzed this graph, we noticed that the title is bug eating contest. The scale counts by twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and it tells us the number of bugs that were eaten, which can be found in the label right here. We noticed that our categories are the names of salamanders found in this table. So our categories are Quadra, Sally, Fraser, Newton, Tiger, and Captain. The bars tell us how many bugs they ate that day. So when we analyzed this, we noticed a lot about the data table, that we had to fill in some pieces and that we needed to draw the bar for Newton. So since Newton ate 7 bugs, his bar would go in between 6 and 8 because 7 comes between 6 and 8 when we count by ones. So this is really the meat of all the lessons that we've been working on. The kiddos have been doing great with it. It seems like everyone is really excited about using graphs, and hopefully this helps you to review with your child and also know what we're doing in class this week. Thank you so much.